again, everybody. It's Richard Kenny, the head web guy here at Your Web Guys, and we are here with another Webmaster Minute. So this week, we're going to talk about two-factor authentication. So what is two-factor authentication? We're seeing it a lot more on a lot of different things where it says, we're going to text you a secret code to the phone number on file, or you check your email and give us the secret code that we're going to email you. That's great. It's secure. It's good stuff. But the problem is if you don't have your email on the right email that you have anymore, or if your cell phone number has changed and all that's there, then you're kind of stuck. And one of the worst examples of this that I found recently is somebody had their domain set up with two-factor authentication on a phone number that was a landline, so you can't receive text on it. And the email address was an email on the domain that we were trying to renew. So it didn't work. So there was no way to two-factor authenticate into the registrar to be able to renew the domain. That's a problem. So make sure that if you do have two-factor authentication turned on, make sure that the ways to authenticate work and are not attached to the thing that you would need to log in to get it fixed, like the domain name. With that being said, most of the time you probably don't need two-factor authentication turned on. Okay, I know that's probably blasphemous for a lot of security people out there, but ultimately, most people aren't going to want your 12-word long domain or your very specific domain that you have. Some might attack you, and you might be a big enough company to be a target. But ultimately, a lot of the security stuff that they are trying to sell you nowadays is really not beneficial for most companies. It's usually just a problem that doesn't do them a lot of good. So before you go, oh yes, I want things to be secure, and you start doing all the stuff that's secure, then make sure that you think about it and you realize whether or not it's actually a good idea to make it secure. Another good example is securing Whois data. Whois data is what your domain is, who owns your domain, right? Brain fart. The domain ownership of your domain doesn't really need to be kept private, right? You're probably a business and you want people to know who you are. So what's the problem with people knowing that Richard Kenny owns yourwebguys.net or my phone number, right? I want them to call me because that's how I do business. So those things are not things that you really need to, you certainly don't need to pay for them. And the reason why is because a lot of times if you pay for it, it's not only something that's an additional fee for no reason, but it kind of helps them hold you hostage. This is something that a large domain registrar that I'm not going to mention their name did for years. And basically what they were doing is selling a secondary system that is not them. And because it was secure, you had to have a separate login for it. And if you lost your login credentials, you could never get them back because it was ultra security. And so basically it was a way for them to hold you hostage. You couldn't transfer your domain away because you couldn't prove that you owned it. You could keep paying them. You could keep renewing your domain, but you couldn't transfer it away. So, and it did absolutely nothing for you. The ICANN registrar authority that does actually control the domains in the world kind of put a stop to this because they've kind of made it where all Whois data is secure now, which again, it's really not that big a deal for most businesses. They don't want their information secure, but ICANN was like, people are getting screwed. We're not going to let this happen anymore. So you really, really don't need to pay for extra security now. So all that's probably more than one normal Webmaster Minute that you got a little two for today. But again, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, even if you aren't a client, remember you can call us 1-877-WebGuy1, of course. And if you ever need to email us, you can send it to support@yourwebguys.net. Again, I am Richard Kenny with Your Web Guys. We will build your website so you can build your business. And this has been another Webmaster Minute.